Alrighty. I've tried to record this a handful of times, and I just kind of like... I just can't find the right way to say this. And I just want to... The purpose of this video is to do a couple of things. So we are going to react to Aztecross's latest video, but because I think a lot of that is kind of indicative of... a lot of the things I've been feeling lately and the reasons why I've been feeling it, and I just kind of want to use it as an example. I do want to preface this by saying, like, I consider Aztecross a friend. We're at the very least professional acquaintances. Like, we've talked a few times. I don't know if we've ever played together. I think we've shared footage potentially. We definitely have talked about videos, and he's reacted to my stuff, I've reacted to his stuff. Like, I consider him a friend. Okay, this is not like a hit piece on Aztecross, but I think something here is indicative of a larger problem that is kind of happening, and I just don't know. I'm not really having the best time out here. So I want to start off by saying, like, I know I haven't made a lot of marathon content, whether that's on YouTube, whether that's like even weighing into things on Twitter. I have, like, honestly been ignoring a lot of the comments about it like when I'm streaming, and it's not because I'm like not excited for marathon, or I hate marathon, or Bungie was paying me but now they're not, so now I'm not talking about marathon, or any of these other accusations that have been thrown at me 100 times. I'm still excited for marathon. Like, the plagiarism thing is bad. It is very, very, very bad when anyone steals any other person's creative content. When a billion-dollar company steals a smaller company's, or especially an individual independent artist's content, that is awful. And there should be consequences. Anti-Real should be paid out the freaking wazoo. So much money for that. And it looks like that's all being worked out behind the scenes. So I just wanted to, like, okay, that's the baseline. I'm still excited for marathon. I have seen a lot of things that you haven't seen. It is not a perfect game. There are a lot of changes that need to happen between now and launch. Whenever that might be, we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But I'm, like, at baseline, I love the foundation. I've talked to so many of the, like, small guy and gal devs that are, like, very passionate about it and putting their all into this. And I believe that they can do something really, really cool. And certain aspects of the game, yes, could be game changing. I'm gonna stand by that. That's specifically the secrets and the puzzles part that you know nothing about. But I think, like, a lot of that is, for me, very exciting and stuff that I've been looking for in Destiny for a while. And sometimes we get it, but not quite. And so it's stuff I'm pretty excited about. That being said, I've, like I mentioned, had to take a step back. I'm not really reading YouTube comments anymore. I'm not really interacting with people on Twitter anymore. And that's not because of, like, personal attacks or death threats. Like, I have been getting both of those things across a ton of different platforms, but it's like, those don't necessarily affect me that much. I have been increasingly developing, I think, an unhealthy relationship of comparing, like, my opinion to, like, a community's opinion about stuff. And I want to explain that. And that's been really amplified recently with the marathon stuff, and it's leaving me in a bad headspace. And so yeah, I've had to take a step back from reading a lot of this stuff. And maybe you think that makes me like a pussy or whatever, and that's totally fine. You can have that opinion. That's cool, whatever, I don't really care. But it's a very real thing that has been affecting me, and that's kind of changed how I'm interacting with a lot of this content. And that being said, if you want to have, like, a genuine discussion about anything in this video or marathon or Destiny, like, the best place to do that's on stream, because we can have, like, an active conversation about things. And like I said, I've really stopped reading YouTube comments and looking at Twitter replies as much as well. So I just want to throw that out there. I started noticing this unhealthy relationship between opinions. Around Season of Seraph, about 2.5 years ago, and I was very vocal about this at the time. I think I made multiple tweets and maybe even videos about it. Definitely talked about it on stream. But I started to notice that, like, when I enjoyed something and the community didn't, it really made me feel awful. And so, like, I think the best example is Season of the Seraph. It seemed really, really cool. I was really excited for the premise and a lot of the aesthetic and that sort of stuff going into it. But almost immediately in the season, one of the first things you do is you visit a Seraph bunker. And it just happens to be a Seraph bunker asset that was completely reused from Season of the Worthy. And immediately when I saw that, I wasn't like disappointed from myself. I wasn't like, damn, Bungie's reusing assets and locations again. But in my head, I was like, man, the community is not going to like that. And that completely tainted like everything for the first like month of that season for me, where I just couldn't enjoy anything as much as I normally would have, because I just have this bug in my ear, in my brain, my, subconscious or whatever, just telling myself like, man, the community's not going to like this. The community's not going to like this. And that made me like things worse. I think another example is like Root of Nightmares. Now, Root of Nightmares is not my favorite raid. Okay, I think it's a great low man raid. It's a beautiful raid. The loot's like pretty good. Obviously it's not super difficult or anything, but I like it for what it is. But once again, like anytime I do anything related to Root of Nightmares, people are just like vomiting, and it just like really fucking just kills the mental. And I don't know what that is. I don't know what it is where if I have an opinion about something and people have the opposite opinion, why it affects my enjoyment. But it's really annoying. And it only happens in video games. So like, I've been a Buffalo Sabres fan for 20 years. They fucking suck. People hate them. But I don't really care. It's fine. I'm a metal fan. One of like the least popular genres on the planet. I don't really care that people don't like them. It's specifically with video games and my content. I don't know why that is. And it's something that I've really been trying to have a lot of introspection about recently. And it's really just come to a T with a lot of this marathon stuff, where even if it's like, I'm just trying to like vibe and enjoy it and be excited for something, or even look at like the bright side of some situations, it completely like kills me when I go on Twitter and it's like sensationalist article, sensationalism, clickbait, blah, blah, blah. And then like a bunch of people who would probably never even play the game in the first place, just like dogpiling on and talking about how shit the game is, and Concord 2.0 and dead game, and these devs deserve to lose their jobs, and blah, blah, blah. And it just kills the vibe. And, that's the best thing I can say. And so it's put me in a really weird place recently, which is why I've just kind of like step back. Yeah, so there's a couple places we can go from here. I do want to, I guess I can go with like, I think a lot of that is due to, like I said, like the sensationalism. So I want to like look at this Aztecross thumbnail and title here. And like I said, like I consider Aztecross a friend. You know what I mean? Known each other for quite a long time at this point. But like, let's look at this. Marathon will not launch in 2025. Canceled in the thumbnail. And like, I don't know what he talks about in this video. We're about to find out. But as far as I'm aware, like there's nothing really supporting that. And so the one piece, it happened today, I think. So he's probably gonna talk about it, is the Sony or Bungie changing their marketing plans, which I do want to talk about. And if that is what Cross talks about, I think that's a good time to like look at something and talk about like the possibilities. But I do want to go on record, because a lot of people have been like asking me like, Scaro, do you think Marathon should be delayed? Look, I don't know. Like, I've seen, there's like 50 people that are not developers on this planet that have seen more of the game than me. I still know jack all about this. I don't know. None of us know. And it's just, to me, it's super silly, especially if you have a platform of any size. And this isn't calling out Cross. This is something that I've seen a lot of people do. And to use your platform and then go on Twitter and say, Marathon should be delayed. And it's like, fuck, man, I don't know. Like, if the people making the game, the actual, like, small guy and gal developers, like, the people doing the hard work and the heavy lifting, if they think they need more time to deliver the product that they want to deliver, then sure, I hope they get more time. If they don't think they need it, then there's no point. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and be like, delay it. Like, it's a nothing opinion from a nothing person. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. You don't have to have an opinion on everything, but just because you have an opinion doesn't make it a good one. And it definitely doesn't make it an informed one. And that's like one of the things I'm really struggling with is like, you see people just say shit. And it's just like, even if you hop in and I say something like, man, I don't know if it should be delayed. People like, chill, paid by Bungie. And it's just like, man, it's not even defending anything. It's just like, if they want more time, I hope they get it. But I'm not an expert and I'm acknowledging that I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So I'm just gonna like fucking defer to the people that do. And if you think that makes me a shill, like maybe you should like get off of Twitter for a couple of days. That's just kind of where I'm at with that. But sorry, that got a lot more aggressive than I expected it to. But let's look at this. I'll have the original link down below. I will say, I swear to God, if he looks at a Destiny Bulletin video, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind, okay? Or article, but just because I've not a sponsor.
All right.
But God damn it, he is! I know this font, bro. Okay. If there are no Destiny Bulletin or Tau Ceti GG haters alive, I'm dead. Okay? I'll just put that out there. It's been like 7 years, Destiny content. Highly disingenuous, very sensationalized, clickbaity, and just false report left and right. It's something I'm personally sick of. I don't know why anyone gives these people FaceTime still. I'm sick of it. Anyways.
This just dropped. Report marathon delay likely as Sony cancels all paid marketing plans. So what I will say, and I don't know what Cross says because I haven't watched this video. But what I will say is like, yeah, maybe if it's true, because I think this came from like a podcast or something, and then these guys reported on it. I don't even know. I'm sure that'll be discussed in this video. But if Sony or Bungie did cancel marathon marketing plans, maybe that does mean the game was delayed. I don't know. I just went on like a minute rant about I don't know. The thing that I don't hear a lot of people talking about is like, hey, maybe a lot of their assets, they're worried that they have like literal plagiarism in them. Hey, maybe their current marketing plan has been really bad and has not gotten people excited about the game. And so maybe they're taking a step back to retool it. You know what I mean? Like, we haven't seen an official Vidoc, and half the community is crying for a Vidoc. Maybe they're taking a step back to produce a Vidoc. You know what I mean? Maybe they understand that they haven't done a good enough job introducing the world of Marathon or what type of game Marathon is or this or that or that. And so they're reevaluating their plans. I don't know. Maybe they are delaying it. I don't know. But the point is everyone takes these moves and they are so sure they know exactly what's going on. And maybe they are, but like, fuck, man. He put canceled in the thumbnail. You know what I mean? Like, from Zahad here. Bungie's marathon is likely to be delayed as a new report claims Sony has now canceled all paid marketing plans. Bungie's upcoming shooter marathon just can't seem to catch a break. What started as a highly anticipated closed alpha test has hit roadblock after roadblock, leaving fans wondering if the game will actually see the light of day this year. Jesus, you don't want to go to the next year. You got GTA around the corner. First, the studio was rocked by an art theft scandal when it was revealed that some of Marathon's promotional materials and in-game art were directly copied from an indie artist's work, Anti-Bro. Bungie quickly apologized and promised to review all assets, but the damage was already done. Following the whole art theft controversy, several reports have now painted a pretty troubling picture of what's happening behind the scenes at Bungie. Multiple sources say morale among the developers is in free fall, with many team members feeling frustrated by leadership decisions and the overall direction of the project.
Yeah, that sort of thing. I think Destin and Paul both had reports where they talked to people, and the morale was down. Like, of course it is. Not only is your game not being received as you wish, but these people are definitely receiving personal attacks and death threats. I would put literal money on it because the internet is an awful place. And so if you're a person who's not used to that, which no one should have to be used to it, but especially if you're not used to it and you're all of a sudden a very public figure, like, yeah, of course your morale is going to suck. And then, yeah, you have all these reports that there's a lot of dissonance between, like, for the past 3 or 4 years, like what smaller devs thought would be really cool to put in the game or tailor the game towards, and then like leadership, like, you know, wanting it to go a different way. That's normal at huge companies, but it sucks when I have an idea for a polymer that I really like and leadership tells me it's not financially feasible right now. It sucks. It sucks to be told that your idea isn't great. Okay, and that does affect how you think about things in a negative way. So I don't doubt any of this.
Feeling frustrated by the leadership decisions and the overall direction of the project. Some have even gone as far as calling Marathon's leadership toxic and humiliating to work with, saying that warnings about focusing only on PvP were brought up early on, but were completely ignored by higher-ups.
Yeah, and if true, that totally sucks.
Another report claimed that after the mixed reaction to the closed alpha, Bungie pushed back its marketing and pre-ordered plans that were supposed to go live in June, and the big open beta was replaced with public playtesting.
Yes, so that's kind of what I'm talking about here. Once again, I'm not going to give an opinion on whether it should or should not be delayed, but I just don't think this is necessarily entirely indicative of it being delayed. It could be. Maybe I'm just totally wrong. I have no idea. But I think there are other possibilities here that people are blatantly ignoring because they'll get more clicks if they do. Tau Ceti Bulletin, GG, my dude. And it just kind of spirals out of control. And this is one of the things that just gets to me. And, you know, I don't know. It's just like, we're just in like, throwing away critical thought, I guess. I don't know, man.
If I understand this correctly on this too, this was pushed back even before the art controversy, right? Gonna be late next year. Oh, dude, that's so fun. That's, you know what I mean? All right, Sony reportedly cancels all.
That's kind of what I'm talking about. So like a random chatter suggesting it's going to be pushed back 18 months. Like, do people not think, like, okay, right now games in development don't make money. So it is literally bleeding money, right? That's how it works, because you have to pay the rent, you have to pay the electricity bills, you have to pay all the people that work on the game, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so every time you do push it back, your budget for the game balloons and you're not taking in any money. And it's like no one considers that either. It's just like, you can't just say, let's push back the game 18 months. You know what I mean? That's just a crazy thing for a random chatter to say. And it's an even crazier thing to like highlight in a video, you know?
Paid marketing for Marathon delay incoming. Now, a new report claims that Sony has canceled all paid marketing plans for Marathon. This information comes from Colin Moriarty, who shared the news in the latest paywall.
And for reference, I don't know who Colin Moriarty is.
Of the Sacred.
But like, that's not me trying to like use nobody. That's just me saying like, I'm not familiar with him. He could be a super trustworthy source. I don't doubt that the marketing plans have shifted. In fact, I've been calling publicly for the marketing plans to shift because the current ones have just not been working. I consider the reveal to not be a huge success. I love the devs on the couch approach, but it should not be the main course. It should be, you know, official marketing material of Vidoc, a couple of trailers, maybe a lore trailer, but you know, all this stuff. And then like an after show of devs. When you have like 1 3-minute trailer and then just devs talking about it, they like assume we know what's happening, but we have no idea what's happening. And it's just been bad. It leads to a lot of confusion. It leads to a lot of disappointment. And I've been very public that I think it's a bad way to do it. Same thing with like the play amaze. I love the idea of Joe Ziegler or other devs going on and talking, but so far every time they do that, it's them shutting down ideas like constantly, or them like hand waving major problems and then focusing on like small things that people don't really care about, like we know the weapon balance is off, it's an alpha, you know what I mean? But like completely ignoring prox chat, completely ignoring solo play, like these sorts of things. There is a good idea in this marketing plan, but it is not being realized currently. And so I have been very public. What are we doing here? I think I had a tweet last week that expressed how or 2 weeks ago that expressed how I feel. Where it's like, I feel like all marathon marketing has a quarter of the budget of Destiny marketing and is planned the day before. And it feels like a lot of it is just that. Obviously, that's pretty harsh, but it's obviously not working. And so, yeah, they should rework it. It doesn't mean that if they cancel everything to rework it, it doesn't mean it's definitely being delayed. It doesn't mean it's not being delayed. But it definitely isn't like, oh, Marathon's dead, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Symbols Plus podcast. This reportedly came from someone familiar with the marketing efforts in an overseas market, and it's considered a fairly unusual move for a game of this high profile. All right, so quote, I was told by someone familiar with marketing plans in a key overseas market that there are now no plans to do paid marketing for Marathon at all, Variety said during the podcast. I don't know if those plans were affected by what has recently happened, or if that was always the plan or whatever, but it is considered...
I didn't even know this quote. I don't know if those plans were affected by what recently happened, or if that was always the plan. I didn't even know that was a thing. This could have always been the plan. Why is no one talking about that? This is just what I'm talking. Like, people just take one part of this and they just run, they sprint with it. It's crazy. I just don't understand.
A fairly unusual move for a game of this high profile. All right, so let's play devil's advocate. All right, so if you canceled marketing plans...
Oh, sorry, I'm over Aztecross. Chickens. Oh, shit, that's not what I meant to do. Wait! Okay, we're back.
Reasons. Either number one, well, really only one reason. You're not planning on shipping the game out anytime soon. I don't see it coming out in September, and Sony does no marketing for it. Hell, they even did marketing for Kontrol.
But why? Like, Bungie is known to do almost all of their own marketing. I guess Sony does a little bit of marketing for Destiny at like Games Award or State of the Place or whatever. See, I didn't even. It's exactly what I'm talking about. I didn't even know this was just on the Sony side. I don't find that the official marathon reveal was not a Sony event. It was a Bungie event. All of the trailers so far have been Bungie trailers. They've been done internally. That doesn't, as far as I'm aware, that doesn't, like, I just don't know, man. Like, maybe Sony's just like, yeah, do your own thing. All right, so I watched the rest of the video, and there wasn't anything else that I really, like, fits the discussion of this video, so I just decided to cut off the last 10 minutes of discussion that I've had with nothing, but, yeah, so that's just kind of where I'm at. Taking a little step back. Still here, still excited. It's important to call out the bad, also think critically about things, and maybe Marathon's delayed, maybe it's not, but like, let's just use a little brain stuff, you know what I mean? That's just kind of where I'm at. Yeah, anyways, have a good night, see you soon.